You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Wise guys. Wise guys. Wise guys. Wise guys. Wise guys. These guys know sports. Yeah. These guys know sports. These guys know.
And welcome to Wise Guys. These guys know sports on this Monday, July the 20th, with my co-host, Mr. Clarence Dixon. What's up, Clarence?
Happy Monday. How you doing, Trey? Happy Monday, man. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you, man. Everybody remember, go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H, also on Facebook, Wise Guys. We live here on the Worldwide Sports Network. Clarence, give me some details, bro. How was the weekend? Before we get into the sports, how was your weekend?
It wasn't good, honestly. It wasn't good. Things has went left, and I'm just trying to decide on some few things though. But overall, I got some good sleep. I did some yoga for the first time. So I'm trying to I'm trying to get real active now with the working out session now. I'm supposed to be going tonight at 11, so hopefully I get to go still.
That'd be cool, man. Hey, Clarence, let me ask you a question before we get into our show today. Because everybody know we are local here in Cincinnati, right? So did you hear about what happened at Coney Island on Saturday, man?
Oh my God.
Did you hear about what happened when Boosie showed up and then they didn't have the pool party like they were supposed to have?
Yeah, but I know the guys personal, but shout out to the 160 promotion team, man, that they brought in Boosie and basically sold a lot of tickets. Shout out to the 160 promotion team, man. They did their thing, but that was crazy that when Boosie got here, it didn't last long, man.
Chaos, man. It was chaos. The idea was nice, but the execution, it didn't happen. Like, it just didn't happen. I wasn't there, but I'm just telling you what I've heard from people that was there or tried to get in and so forth, but it was a mess. It was a mess, man.
Yeah, but
but we got an action jam-packed show. Are the Portland Trailblazers poised for a playoff run? Melo is now Skinny Melo. He went from Hoodie Melo to Skinny Melo now. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Would Deshaun Watson have similar or equivalent accomplishments as Patrick Mahomes if he was the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs? This is based off my status that I put on Facebook last week. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the show as well. And also, we're going to talk about Tyreek Hill. Is he a top 5 receiver in the NFL? Me and Clarence get your opinion on that. But first, we got to start off in the National Football League, as this morning, several notable players, they tweeted their desire to play this upcoming season, but they want the health and safety protocols finalized from the NFL. These players include Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, J.J. Watt. These are some of the players that spoke up and said they want to play this year, but they also are caring about the health and the safety protocols from the NFL. And all NFL players are expected to report to their respective training camps by July 28th. So as we open up the show today, Clarence, the first question here is, should the players report to camp despite the NFL not having a clear plan?
Me personally, I wouldn't want the NFL players to report into training camp without no assessed plan for this Corona-19. But, we got news today that the NFL to agree to daily test all the NFL players. So that's a start right there. But if they didn't agree to this daily
test. That came out today?
Yeah, it came out today. But before it came out, if they didn't agree to that daily testing, I wouldn't tell none of them players to go back, because you're risking your health, and you putting your family at risk, because you're going out to go see these other guys you ain't seen in a long time, practice with them, get a physical, and then you going back home to the family, and you putting your family at a risk because you've been around these people and around this facility. So it sounds like a high risk, high reward type of situation. But player safety is so important than playing a football game, in my opinion, because I feel like you need the players to play the game. And if these players are not healthy enough to even play the game, then you should not even have no training camp until you agree to like these daily testings that they did for today. So I truly I believe that they shouldn't go back if they didn't have no no plan. But now they sort of kind of got a plan, but I'm still a little iffy on there because how many times do they got to get tested throughout the day? Because all the rookies go back to training, go to training camp tomorrow. My favorite Joe Burrow, he's going to training camp tomorrow. So you want to question like how would this affect them like when they like out there getting a test or practicing, how would it affect their family? So that would be one of the biggest questions at that. But my answer, nah, man, I don't think they should report to camp if they don't have like a clear plan.
I agree with you. I don't think they should report to camp either if there's not a clear-cut plan. But now that this news has came out today about the NFL now going to give daily coronavirus tests, I think that's a step in the right direction because the NFL, they don't want to spend no money. And if you have daily tests, that costs money. They don't want to spend no money. Also, it was reports that the NFL owners, they want preseason games as well. The players, they don't want to play no preseason games. They could care less about it. But we know why the NFL owners want preseason games. Why? Because they want to sell tickets. They want to make money. It's all about money for the NFL. Make no mistake about it. That's what's being affected here. That's their bottom line. And so I agree with you that if I was a player like Sierra, like Russell Wilson, he tweeted out about Sierra being pregnant. Think about the risk that Russell Wilson is taking going to the facility every day, not knowing if he contracts the disease, takes it back home. These are things that you got to think about when you are an NFL player. You're putting not only yourself at risk, your family, your kids, your wife, your mom, your dad, people that's older in your life. And we know people who are older, they have been affected by the coronavirus at a significant worse rate than even the younger people. But I agree with you. I think the NFL has to come up with a clear-cut plan. And I want to give a lot of credit to Adam Silver, commissioner for the NBA. I know we're talking about NFL, but I want to give some credit to Adam Silver because Adam Silver, he came up with a clear-cut plan for the NBA bubble and the players to return. We'll see if it works. We know some players are going to get the disease. We're not sure if they're going to be able to complete the NBA restart once they come back later on in July. But at least Adam Silver has a plan in place. And we can at least say afterwards, Adam Silver did his part. I'm looking at Roger Goodell and these other NFL owners to come up with a clear-cut plan for these players to feel as safe as possible when they return back to training camp later on in July.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you right there. Like, and then they got another news in today that the players and owners are basically voting for they don't have no preseason. Now, I don't agree with that. These players, like, they shouldn't have any preseason game. I think they should at least have one because at the end of the day, you evaluating these other players that's trying to make the team. Someone that's trying to fight for their job. And that one preseason game, they only got one game to show that they're willing to make the team. So it would be so difficult enough for them to not have no preseason games. Like, them not having no preseason games, it doesn't make sense because you want to see these young players play. You want to see their potential in their first game. You want to see a lot of stuff, but we have to definitely understand that player safety is important. Yeah. And if it means to not having no preseason game, Trey, why then don't have no preseason game because this pandemic is increasing each and every day. It's always high cases. Like in Cincinnati, our government, Mike DeWine, is stating that we're turning into Florida. And, these players that's coming into the rookies that's coming in for tomorrow, we don't know if they might be tested with coronavirus or not. So that's going to be very important if these guys are healthy or not, man. So I think that plays a big part in it too.
Do you think we're going to have football week 1 of this upcoming season?
I think we're going to have I think so. I think we're still going to have some football, though. It's just the simple fact that it's going to be kind of difficult because you don't know if these players are in shape or these players ain't meet up with these players to work on these things. So it's been so difficult for these last few months to, like, these other players getting along with each other, working on the playbook together. So it's going to be very difficult. You might see a whole sloppy week 1 games, man. The games might be sloppy, Trey. I think it's still going to be.
But at this point, we'll take it as sports fans. But I agree with you. I think we will have football come week 1 of the regular season because I think these NFL owners and Roger Goodell, they have the mentality by any means necessary. They want to get their money clearance, and I know it's bad. But if them having their money and them being able to keep having their revenue, if it keeps happening and they want to continue to have their revenue and it sacrifices some players' health here and there, guess what? Those NFL owners are going to do it. That's what they want. They're not going to sacrifice their quality of life for a few people that comes down with the coronavirus. It's just not going to happen. I think they're going to have a by any means necessary approach to this situation, and I think we're going to have football week 1 because they want to get paid. They want to get paid, and they care about their money. That's the most important thing to these NFL owners. Their bottom line. If their bottom line is affected, they're going to do anything they can to change that. And I think that's why you're seeing them want to still have these preseason games. See, I disagree with you. I don't think we need that preseason. I don't watch the preseason anyway. I don't care less about the preseason. I think if you want to try to do whatever you can to try to control the environment and as many players as less as possible coming down with the coronavirus, you got to cancel these preseason games and get to the games that matter. That's where we at with this. That's why I had no problem with them canceling the Hall of Fame game. I think the Hall of Fame game this year was the Cowboys and the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think it was. Yeah,
you're right.
I had no problem with them canceling that game because at the end of the day, that game doesn't really matter. A lot of times, Clarence, to be honest, in years past, I forgot about the damn Hall of Fame game. And I said, damn, the Hall of Fame game was on last night. So what I'm saying is you want to get to the games that matter the most, and that's in the regular season. And I definitely for sure believe that they're going to have a start to the season. I'm not sure if they're going to finish the season, but they'll definitely start the NFL season.
Believe it or not, though, Trey, that Hall of Fame game will be considered as a preseason game, and that game is for the young ones that's coming up on the team to prove themselves they can make the team. And them not having no preseason game, the only thing they got to show is training camp. You don't see no live action against no other opponents to see what can they do, what they cannot do. So them not having no preseason game is going to hurt the players that's fighting for a roster spot and that's fighting to be proven on their team. So I think that's going to hurt a lot. It's going to hurt a lot, Trey. It's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying from that perspective. I just think in a situation like this, because these are unforeseen circumstances and we're dealing at very odd times in our country right now, I think you can't – everybody's not going to be happy. You can't satisfy everybody. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. Like I told you, even with the NBA, Lord forbid if one of these star players come down with the virus, like Kawhi or James Harden or Lord forbid LeBron, it's going to be unfortunate because we're not going to be able to evaluate the NBA playoffs and say this was the best team by far because we have other players that are of significance, that are star players coming down with the virus and not being able to play. So that's why I said it's tough, but I think we need to have some sports because I think it's going to give us a chance to be able to have some positivity and bring some energy that we need in our country right now. So I'm for us having sports, but when it comes to these players' safety in the NFL, I'm with Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, J.J. Watt, Drew Brees. I'm with them 1,000% on this issue. The NFL and Roger Goodell need to come up with a clear-cut plan like the NBA did. And that way the players can say, okay, they did their part. Now let's do our part and let's look at the results.
So that leads us to our next question on the topic. Do you seriously think the NFL need to make some type of arrangement like the NBA did with the bubble?
I think that's going to be impossible. With the NFL, it's too many moving parts. You got players, coaches, people on the training staff. It's too many moving parts. You got over 53 players on a roster. 22 players on the field every play. Like, it's going to be impossible to keep these players in a bubble. In the NBA, you only got the players that's on the team, and then you got the training staff and the coaching staff. These NFL players, it's over 50 players on a roster. It's just going to be too hard, in my opinion, to keep the NFL in a bubble like the NBA. Like, it's going to be too hard. I think it's a tall task. It's going to be impossible, in my opinion, Clarence.
Yeah, look, I'm going to just say this. If they squeeze the games down, take games away, you're taking away meaningless games like Thanksgiving, December games, hell, even Halloween games in October, November, December. There are games that you have to win to make a playoff run. And I think if the NFL took those games away, then this season won't even matter to some players because they be expected to play on these type of games and they want to prove that they're still in playoff contender or they just want to play. And it's going to hurt. And think about it. the NFL already taking 35% of their salaries. Patrick Mahomes' contract, they took 35% of that salary just for the moment we can cover for the COVID-19. If you turn the game into like an NFL bubble, just for example, NFL bubble, it's gonna be more difficult than the NBA, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, you have more contracts, you have a lot of contracts that you have to deal with, and you will definitely have to figure out like how would you manage them contracts in a short time span. And I think that's going to turn into a problem of players wanting to opt out and don't play in the season. So I just think it's going to turn into a big controversial argument or something crazy that something new is going to happen. Breaking news, we just going to be ready to prepare for it, Trey. It's going to be crazy.
Everybody remember going to follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H, also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram with These Guys Know Sports. What we got next, Clarence? Go ahead.
Yes, sir, man. Now we moving on. Transition to some basketball. Whoop. Oh, you see that jump shot, Trey? So look.
It's broke.
Oh, God. You remember what happened in the gym last time? So remember, the 2019 and 20 awards will be voted and completed before the July 30th NBA restart. So which player should be the NBA MVP for this season?
Well, give me a drum roll, Clarence. Give me a drum roll, man. Give me a drum roll, please. NBA MVP this season is Mr. LeBron James. NBA MVP again.
Come on.
Yes,
man.
17 years in the NBA. LeBron James also is a 3-time NBA champion, 3-time NBA Finals MVP. Mr. LeBron James himself, sir, is your NBA MVP. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you why LeBron James is the NBA MVP this year. When you look at LeBron James in the Western Conference, he has the Lakers right now currently first in the West with a 49-14 record. Mm-hmm. And this year, these are LeBron James' statistical numbers. He's averaging 26 points per game, on 50% shooting from the floor, 8 rebounds per game, and 11 assists per game. LeBron James himself is a system, Clarence. And I remember, before we have the NBA shutdown, I remember a weekend series where Giannis and the Bucks strolled into LA, and they strolled into Staples Center. And LeBron James, he balled out on Giannis on that Friday night at the Staples Center. You remember that? You remember that? I remember that too. And then I also remember that following Sunday, exactly 48 hours later, maybe not even 48 hours, Kawhi Leonard in a series right across the hallway against LeBron James. In that game, what did LeBron do? He balled out against Kawhi Leonard in that matchup. LeBron James was making a run for NBA MVP honors before the NBA shut down. I believe LeBron James is the NBA MVP, and I believe if you take LeBron James off the Lakers are not a playoff team. Now, let's get to the reverse, because a lot of people think Giannis is the NBA MVP. Let me tell you why Giannis is not the NBA MVP. When I look at the Milwaukee Bucks, I do believe that Giannis is a great individual player, but he's very dominant. He's a dominant player. But just because you're a dominant player, that doesn't make you the most valuable player. When I look at Giannis and what he brings to the table, hold on now. Giannis is balling this year. And obviously he won NBA MVP last year, and I thought they robbed James Harden, but Giannis won MVP last year, so I'll give him his credit. But when you look at the Bucks, I give a lot of that credit for the Bucks' success also to Mike Budenholzer, the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Mike Budenholzer, in his career, he has a 273 and 219 coaching record, which he's won 55% of his games. And when he was in Atlanta, Clarence, he had the Atlanta Hawks in the playoffs 3 out of his 5 seasons being a head coach for the Atlanta Hawks. I believe when I look at the Milwaukee Bucks, I think Mike Budenholzer with Giannis, that's what got the Bucks in the position that they're in, being the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. If you take LeBron James off the Los Angeles Lakers, they're not even a playoff team, Clarence. They'll be competing. Hold on, wait a minute. They'll be competing with that A spot with the Blazers, the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans. Without LeBron James, the Lakers would not be at the top of the Western Conference. Without Giannis, I think the Bucks would still be a top 7 seed in the Eastern Conference. They would still be in the playoffs. The floor is yours.
Are you nuts? You must have drunk before you got on the show this morning. Do you? Okay. My MVP for the season, you already know it is. It's Giannis, the Greek freak. Let me tell you this. One, Giannis got a higher point per game percentage than him. He rebound more better than him. Only thing he doesn't have more is assists. But he's very effective in the assist game, man. Can't forget this. He's shooting a better field goal percentage from the floor than LeBron. 54, almost 55%. Let me tell you this, Trey. I'll tell you this.
I got some pushback for that point right there, but I'm gonna let you go ahead.
But listen, the Milwaukee Bucks, they're 53-12 in the Eastern Conference Finals. They've been dominating. You hear me? Giannis has been dominating all 57 games that he's played and started. He's been the most dominant force in the NBA. I'm gonna say this. I don't know why you keep thinking if you take LeBron James off that Lakers team, they're gonna fall like ridiculous. I'm gonna say this. It was a game that LeBron they had 15 assists. LeBron had 10 of them 15 assists. You took that away, you had to pass him with that. But blah blah blah. But think about it. The whole point is this: Giannis is more proven. It was more proven this season to LeBron James because more proven than this season because he led his team on both ends of the floor. He's basically a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. Then your guy, Anthony Davis, he's the front runner of the Defensive Player of the Year right now, as we speaking right now. I think for Giannis, though, he brings the tenacity to his team. He helps their team plays through him. He is basically the leader of the team. Now, if you took Giannis off that team, I bet my last penny, they would not make the playoffs. They would not make the playoffs with Chris Middleton.
What?
They want to make the playoffs. They're not making no playoffs. If they ever make the playoffs, the highest they probably go is 7. Just because.
Okay, but they'll be a playoff team.
They're not a playoff team.
So
Giannis.
if you took LeBron James off the Lakers, do you think the Lakers would be in the playoffs?
Of course.
How? It would basically be Anthony Davis. It would basically be Anthony Davis, just like how he was with the New Orleans Pelicans.
Isn't he considered another superstar? He's considered one of the best superstars in the league.
But would they be championship? What I'm saying is, would they be championship contenders, legitimate championship contenders without LeBron James? No, they wouldn't even be playoff. They would be borderline playoff contenders. I think they'll be competing with Memphis, Portland, New Orleans. Yes, if you take LeBron, what? Look at okay. Ask Anthony Davis how his game. It's easier for him now because he has LeBron James leading the charge.
Anthony Davis
has admitted that his game is much easier now for him to get into the flow of the offense and play because he has LeBron James leading the charge. When you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm not taking nothing away from Giannis. I think Giannis is a great player and he has tremendous upside. I want him to get better at shooting jump shots, but I love Giannis. I think Giannis, once he gets a championship on his resume, we can start talking about Giannis being in that NBA all-time greats conversation. He's not there yet because he ain't won a championship. But I'm saying overall, when I look at Giannis, I thought last year, I didn't think Giannis deserved NBA MVP last year, Clarence. If I'm being quite frank with you, I thought James Harden should have won the NBA MVP. But that's just my opinion. This year, I think Mike Budenholzer deserves some of that credit for the Milwaukee Bucks. And also, defensively, you talked about Giannis being one of the best defensive players in the NBA. I agree with you. But let's not forget, Brook Lopez is also a great defensive player for that Milwaukee Bucks team. So that's not act like it's just all about Giannis on the defensive
Robert.
side.
You mean Robert, man.
Robert, that's what I meant. Robert, that's what I meant. Robin Lopez, yeah. But let's not act like it's all Giannis. That's what I'm saying. I'm not taking nothing away from Giannis. I just think Mike Budenholzer is a great NBA coach. He comes from that San Antonio coaching tree with Greg Popovich. I think Budenholzer is one of the top coaches we have in the NBA. And I think he also is a part of the reason why the Milwaukee Bucks are at the top of the Eastern Conference and also a reason why they're legitimate championship contenders. It's not just Giannis.
Yes, it is, man. It's definitely because of Giannis, man. Giannis affects this team. Giannis makes this team better. Who you think brought out Chris Middleton and turned him into an all-star player?
So let me ask you a question. Do you not remember Eric Bledsoe? He was a scoring machine with the Phoenix Suns. He's on that Milwaukee Bucks team as well. Eric Bledsoe can create his own shot, can get to the rim, and create other opportunities for others. Eric Bledsoe is not no scrub. Eric Bledsoe is a baller. He can get his own shot and create opportunities for others. Yes.
Eric Bledsoe is good on the defensive side, but an offensive threat, he's okay.
So let me ask you a question. On the Lakers, other than LeBron James, who who else on that team is a legitimate playmaker? Rondo is out. Avery Bradley is out. Who else on that team is a playmaker? Who can run the offense and create opportunities for others? LeBron James is a system. That's what I'm saying. Look, how can you say a player that's a system just in himself in his own play not be the NBA MVP? That's what I'm asking. How? Who else on that team?
Listen to what you're saying. He needs everything better. LeBron James needs everything better around him. He needs things to click on both sides. Do you honestly believe that he let some of these players play their game? He let them play their game. He wants them to play his game. He wants them to play his game. Like you said, he is the system. For Giannis, he makes players better around him. He brings out that fearless, that killer instinct around players like Chris Middleton. Believe it or not, he's a top 10 player in the NBA. You know why? Because Giannis opened the door for him to score and to have that.
Chris Middleton ain't no top 10 player in the NBA. Chris Middleton no top 10 player in the NBA. We just said on last week's show he ain't top 10.
Yes, but if that's the Bleacher Report, if they feel like he's a top 10 player, he's a top 10 player, which we know he's not a top 10 player. But for that Lakers team is actually loaded. That Lakers team is actually loaded. They're loaded.
You just say that Lakers team is oh my God.
That Lakers team is loaded, man.
Did you just say the Lakers are loaded?
They are loaded. They are loaded with experienced players that won championship, loaded 3-and-D players, loaded with big men. They're loaded with enough experience to go to the playoffs. They is. Without LeBron James, they is a top 5.
Why do I have to talk basketball? I'm gonna tell Jordan. I'm gonna tell Jordan to ban you from talking basketball. We can't talk basketball no more.
You need to watch what you say, man. Talk about if one player is just one player.
Did you just say the Lakers are loaded?
The Lakers are loaded with experience, man. They got enough killers. Dion Waiters.
If you was in front of me, I'd be throwing this water on you. What are you?
Listen, they are loaded. They are loaded. They're a team that's underrated. That's full of loaded scorers, defenders, even playmakers on that team, man.
Let me ask you a question, okay? So you picked the Lakers to win a championship, right? Correct?
Yeah, correct.
So you picked the Lakers to win a championship, but you've also agreed with me about the fact that the Clippers are really a more deeper team than the Lakers, correct?
But the Lakers are more experienced than the Clippers.
So now you said experience, you said it loaded. When I hear loaded, I'm thinking that deep. I'm thinking like they got numbers and they got superstars and power on their team. I think loaded.
No, but they're see that now you're taking my words and twisting them up now. I'm just saying they're loaded. They're loaded with players that have experience that go in deep into the playoffs.
Then say experience. Don't say loaded. Say they loaded with. They got players that got experience, not loaded. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
You can say it. You can make a difference, though, Trey. You can make a difference.
Now let's get to the next question on this topic. The next question is: do you think the NBA should change the MVP voting until the end of the playoffs, rather than doing it before the playoffs start? Do you think they should wait and do it at the end of the playoffs and after the champion is crowned?
See, Trey, man, I think this will be a controversial thing, man. I think this will be crazy. It will get out enough. I truly believe you will see the top players play their hearts out for this MVP trophy, Defensive Player of the Year. They go just prove to them like, hey, I'm the MVP. Forget about this bubble. I'm gonna show you that I'm the real MVP. I think the competition will get intense. Every single 8 games, every last of them 8 games, them games will be intense. Them games will be so intense for the fact. Your fans go like MVP, yelling MVP, but we already know who is the MVP. But I think they shouldn't change the MVP vote until the end of the playoffs because this is a seasonal award. This is a seasonal award, and if you give them it, and if you take away like their success in the season, then that trophy won't mean nothing. That won't mean nothing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they should change the NBA MVP voting to the end of the playoffs. I think they should do it right at the end of the regular season before the playoffs. Yeah. Is it a seasonal award? So it's an NBA season award. So it should be just for the NBA season alone. But I will say this. I believe they should add an NBA playoff MVP award. I would love to see that because last year, Kawhi Leonard would have won the NBA playoff MVP award because last year in the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard balled out. He balled out leading the Toronto Raptors to the NBA championship and ultimately beating the Golden State Warriors. But Giannis won the MVP throughout the regular season last year. But guess who got exposed in the Eastern Conference Finals last year? Giannis, back to Kawhi Leonard and that Toronto Raptors defense. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's Giannis won the NBA regular season MVP last year, but I think Kawhi Leonard would have been the NBA playoff MVP. So I think they should add an award as well to this. Like, add an award, Adam Silver in the NBA, add an NBA MVP playoff award for whichever player plays the best throughout the course of the NBA playoffs. So I agree with you about the NBA regular season award and MVP being just a regular season award, but they should add another award as well.
If you add another award to this playoffs, this has got to be the exception because of this pandemic. Now, I don't see them adding like too many awards, but the playoff MVP, that would be good enough. That would be good enough. And I think that should get break it down to the two teams that's in the finals right now. They're competing. You win the finals MVP plus the playoffs MVP. So I like that. I like that little idea. I really like that idea, Trey.
Appreciate that. Everybody remember, go follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_Waits. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. We live here on the Worldwide Sports Network on this Monday, July the 20th. Ladies and gentlemen, just so everyone knows, for full disclosure, Clarence has said the Los Angeles Lakers are loaded. Let's continue with the show. We got to move on. But he just said the Lakers are a loaded team. So y'all know it.
Yes. Hope you save that. I hope everybody just say that comment, man. Lakers are a loaded team.
Wow. Okay, let's move on to some NFL. Last week on Facebook, I made a post on Facebook, Clarence, that I made a post on Facebook, and I think I ruffled some feathers when I made that post, Clarence. And I said it in the post. I said I'm gonna say something I know most people might not agree with. And I said, quote, if Deshaun Watson had similar weapons and a support system, he would have similar accomplishments in his career as Patrick Mahomes overall. Let me say that quote again. This was from the great Trey Larkins. If Deshaun Watson had similar weapons and support system, he would have similar accomplishments in his career as Mahomes overall. That was my comment on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson on Facebook last week. It drew a lot of comments, Clarence. You were on there on the comments as well. So, do you agree or disagree?
Mr. Larkins, I love you like a brother, man, like a big brother, matter of fact, man. But I respectfully disagree, man. Respectfully. I respectfully disagree because I feel like, in my opinion, Mahomes is more of a game changer than Deshaun Watson. Like, his presence to that Chiefs team, he elevated this team to the next level. Hell, we talking dynasty with this Chiefs team, Trey. We talking dynasty. And listen to this. Houston, Texas, and the Kansas City team, they got some good coaches. Remember, you don't like Bill O'Brien, but I respect Bill O'Brien because he knows how to win in intriguing games. I can give you that. You see how he beat the Bengals 2 years straight with backup quarterbacks. Like, that was just coaching right there. And defensive game plans right there. But that's going to lead to a whole nother conversation. But I'm just saying this. Mahomes, in a 3-year span, did more than Deshaun Watson in the 3-year span. You know, Deshaun first 3 years, torn ACL, he lost in the wild card game, and he lost in divisional round to Pat Mahomes and blew a 24-point lead. So I feel like his talent literally got exposed right there because Mahomes showed him, hey, we are not giving up, and I'm the top dog of this game, man. And I believe it. I believe Mahomes is better than Deshaun Watson, and I believe that he's more of a game changer than Deshaun Watson because what he brings to the table and what he brings to his team is excitement, arm talent, and leadership. Not saying Deshaun Watson don't have all those traits, but Mahomes took it to a whole nother level, man. He took it to a whole nother level. Look, in 3 years, he sat behind Alex Smith. He played one game. That was week 17. And Andy Reid fell in love with him ever since then. He won an MVP in his first start. And this year, he just won a Super Bowl, Trey. Just won a Super Bowl. He's a very, very talented young man. He's a very talented young man. He's gifted. For Deshaun Watson, I think he had a glimpse of that. But with the torn ACL his rookie year, it derailed like some of his reputation because because they expose his injuries. Like you said, he had injuries at Clemson, and it followed on to him in his rookie year. But Mahomes just ran off with the Togs, and he just dominated, man. He's more dominant than Deshaun Watson.
Okay, I'm not here to basically question whether or not Patrick Mahomes is great. We know Patrick Mahomes is great. Patrick Mahomes in 2018, Patrick Mahomes won NFL MVP, led his team to the AFC Championship game, and if it wasn't for Dee Ford being offsides, it's a good chance Patrick Mahomes would have been in the Super Bowl in his first year starting in the NFL. Then obviously last year, he had an injury, missed a few games, came back, got the Kansas City Chiefs to the playoffs. Every game in the playoffs, the Kansas City Chiefs, at one point, they trailed, and Patrick Mahomes brought them back every single game. Patrick Mahomes obviously got a Super Bowl championship on his resume. Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl MVP. I'm not taking nothing away from Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is great. But I'm going to tell you something else right now, Mr. Nixon. I think Deshaun Watson is also great. And I'm going back even to college. When Deshaun Watson was at the University of Clemson, Dabo, he said in a quote, he said Deshaun Watson is similar to Michael Jordan from the standpoint of he's talking about his intangibles. Deshaun Watson has the intangibles to make key plays when the game is on the line. I remember in the playoff game this year, going against the Buffalo Bills. You remember the game was close. It was an overtime. Yeah. I think it was an overtime, and the Texans had the ball. It was like third down. Somebody basically, they completely missed their assignment. Their blocking assignment, they whiffed on it. And the Buffalo Bills defender came right up the middle. And Deshaun Watson was supposed to be sacked for at least a 7-yard loss. Deshaun Watson somehow, some way, spins out Clarence, gets the ball in the flat to his running back. And his running back goes down the field for at least 25 to 30 yards. And the Houston Texans went on to win that game. And you know the rest of the story. What I'm saying is, when I look at Deshaun Watson as a player, since I've been watching Deshaun Watson, I've always felt like Deshaun Watson is a winner. He is a gamer, Clarence. And when he was at the University of Clemson, he went to back-to-back national championship games against Nick Saban. And guess what? One of those years, he beat Nick Saban. And in the 1 year that he lost, he played great in that game. And when we get to the NFL, 2017, you were right, he got injured. 19 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions. But 2018, he had 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, over 4,000 passing yards on the season, led the Houston Texans to an AFC South title. Then last year, 26 touchdowns, just 12 interceptions, had over 3,000 passing yards, completed 67% of his passes. On his career, 71 touchdowns, 29 interceptions. And he's led the Houston Texans to the division title the last 2 years, in 2018 and 2019. When I look at what Patrick Mahomes has in Kansas City with the Hall of Fame coach and Andy Reid, a great supporting cast, and Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill, I believe that if Deshaun Watson had similar supporting cast and a similar organization around him, I believe Deshaun Watson would put up equivalent, if not better numbers than Patrick Mahomes. I believe in Deshaun Watson as a player, and I think Deshaun Watson, before his career is over and done with, I think Deshaun Watson is going to add at least 2 Super Bowl championships on his resume. I believe in this dude.
Oh, man. Well, if he's in the AFC with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, those type of young quarterbacks, them guys are hungry. So it's going to be kind of difficult task for him.
Don't bring up Joe Burrow. Don't bring up Joe Burrow. Hey, stop it. Just stop. You try to sneak that in there. You ain't slick.
But listen, though, Trey, man. Look, Deshaun, this leads to our next question. What is Deshaun's ceiling as a quarterback? I honestly believe he's next up. I truly believe it. I truly believe he's talented. He's talented like with Lamar. He's talented like Lamar, Mahomes, and Russ, your quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. I believe he deserves to be in the talk. He deserves to be in the talks with them guys because he's very talented. He doesn't give up on plays, and he's a strong leadership. But here's the thing. He was playing with the best receiver in the league at the time. So when them two was clicking, man, it was just pure dominance. Like they were clicking both. It was pure dominance. And unfortunately, Bill O'Brien traded away Nuke to the Arizona Cardinals. So you took away his best weapon and brought in Brandon Cooks, which is still a good receiver. He's still a good receiver.
But he ain't DeAndre Hopkins.
He's not DeAndre Hopkins, but he's still top 5 in deep route yard. Yeah, I believe that. He's still good, but
he can't stay healthy though.
I think this year is going to help Deshaun prove like if you are an elite quarterback that everybody highly speak on you about, then it needs to be shown. It needs to be shown because elite quarterbacks make something out of nothing, man. They make something out of nothing. Like Aaron Rodgers, he carried that whole team all his career. He made something. He made something out of nothing, man. That's all I'm saying. Deshaun Watson, this is the perfect scenario for him right now, just to prove I'm still elite guy. You're up next for your big pay, and you just need to ball out for the season. But I think his shit thing is, if he doesn't, this is a hard take. This is a hard take. I want you to listen to this.
Yeah.
If Patrick Mahomes is still winning Super Bowls or still in the AFC North, he need to take his talents to the NFC.
Yeah, but you still got to face Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you don't got to face him in the AFC Championship.
Well, see, that's the difference between me and you. I think Deshaun Watson can beat Patrick Mahomes. At some point, listen, Patrick Mahomes trailed Deshaun Watson 24-0 in the AFC divisional round of the playoffs. Let's not act like Patrick Mahomes completely dominated the entire playoffs. He didn't. He had some moments where he struggled. And let's not forget, Clarence. Let's not forget. At one point in the Super Bowl, that 49ers defense, they had shut Patrick Mahomes down until we got to about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Patrick Mahomes had got shut down by that Niners defense. They're the best defense in the NFL. It's the best defense in the NFL, so there ain't nothing wrong with it. I mean, they completely destroyed Aaron Rodgers in my team, so ain't nothing wrong with it. But let me say this real quick. When it comes to Deshaun Watson, I'm going to give you 3 quarterbacks who I believe will put up similar numbers as Patrick Mahomes if they were on the Kansas City Chiefs. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers.
You just had to throw him in there.
Yes. Aaron Rodgers, yes. And guess what? I got another one for you.
Oh.
Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, if they were in Kansas City and they had a Hall of Fame caliber coach and Andy Reid, and they had a great play caller in Eric Bieniemy, and then they also had the supporting cast, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Like, if they had those pieces, I think those 3 quarterbacks could put up similar statistical numbers as Patrick Mahomes. And the reason why I left Lamar, the only reason I left Lamar out was because Lamar, he's not as good as a pocket passer as Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or Deshaun Watson yet. He's not on that level yet as far as being a pure pocket passer. When you agree with that? Lamar ain't there yet.
Yeah, I think he's not good as a pocket passer as the players you name, but he's a very underrated. He's getting better. He's getting better. But let me ask you this. Let me tell you this story. So remember the divisional round against the Texans and the Chiefs? They was up 24-9. I was texting my guy, Thaddeus. He's a huge Chiefs fan. Big shout out to Big Thad, man. Big Thad, man. I was texting him 7-0, Thaddeus, 14-0, 21-0,
24-0.
He texted me telling me, bro, they just got a hot start and we about to start heating up. I didn't believe it until they did that stupid play, that stupid fake punt, and Mahomes took it 7 straight possession touchdown. And you know what happened? He was blowing my phone up. I told you, bro, don't sleep on Mahomes.
But you know what, though? That's why I told you I think if Deshaun Watson was in a similar situation like Patrick Mahomes, he would do exactly what Patrick Mahomes has done in his career. But because Deshaun Watson got to work with the incompetent Bill O'Brien, yes, I said incompetent because anytime you trade a top 5 receiver in the NFL and you don't even get a first-round draft pick, in my opinion, you're incompetent. I think Bill O'Brien is an incompetent general manager. Doesn't mean he can't coach, but I think he's an incompetent general manager. But we're going to talk about this in our future shows. I think Deshaun Watson, if he had similar weapons and a similar support system, I believe he would have similar accomplishments as Patrick Mahomes. Everybody remember to follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H, also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. Let's shift back to some NBA clearance. Carmelo Anthony. My favorite all-time player has a new nickname, Skinny Melo. He's lost weight to play. He's lost weight to play small forward during the NBA restart. Zach Collins and Nurkic both are returning to the lineup for the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers are currently 3.5 games back of the Memphis Grizzlies for the 8th spot in the West. Can the Portland Trailblazers be a sleeper team in the Western Conference?
They honestly can, but when I look at their 8-game bubble, the first 4 games is tough. Grizzlies, Celtics, Nuggets. So when I look at these first 4 games, I'm expecting Portland to give it a all against these teams, especially against this Grizzly team, because they hold the 8th spot. So imagine them winning against the Grizzlies. They knocked the Grizzlies out the 8th spot, and I guess the Pelicans or the Timberwolves go move. I mean, not Pelicans, but the Pelicans and Trailblazers, they're going to move up. But I think this team is like really a dark horse team. It all depends who they play in the first round. They play the same team like LA, any LA team, they're gone. But I think this team is not a sleeper team. I think this team not a sleeper team, Trey. I think that they're gonna make some noise come playoff time if they make the playoffs, because we know what Dame Dollar is capable of. And Melo, you can't doubt him in the playoffs because he's a good scorer in the playoffs. I give you that. He's a good scorer.
Not good. He's great.
I'm gonna say he's good.
Put some respect on Melo's name, man.
But Dame Dollar's a whole nother breed in the playoffs. So I think they're gonna make a lot of noise if they win these 8 games in this bubble, which I think is gonna be very tough in the first 4 games, because they're playing all playoff teams. They're playing all playoff teams that's in front of them, and one of the teams is a top team in the Eastern Conference. So you go see, can Skinny Melo play better? Can Zach Collins and Nurkic help on the defender and rebounding side? I don't think they're a sleeper team, but I definitely gonna make some noise if they make the playoffs.
So let me ask you a question. Do you believe they're gonna be in the 8th spot when after the season? Do you think they're gonna beat Memphis out for that 8th spot in the Western Conference?
Believe it or not, man, I still got Memphis hold down this 8th spot, man. I love this John Morant kid. I really love this John Morant kid.
Okay, so you don't even got Portland making the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't got Portland making the playoffs.
Wow, I disagree with you, man. I can't believe you disrespecting Dame Dollar and CJ McCollum and Skinny Melo now. Like, you can't disrespect the Portland Trailblazers. Listen, the Portland Trailblazers will make the playoffs, and I think Memphis and John Morant will be going home watching the rest of the playoffs with us. I think the Portland Trailblazers, excuse me, now they're going to be bringing back Zach Collins and Nurkic. I think they're going to be key contributors to the Portland Trailblazers. I like Melo moving to the 3 because now it's going to give Melo a chance to have some players that's going to be defending him that can't keep up with his power. Like, Melo is strong in that paint. And I'm telling you, Melo in that paint, when he gets you down that block, he can move you around. Melo going to give you buckets. We know what Dame Dollar is capable of in the playoffs. Dame Dollar could drop 60 points at any given moment in a playoff game, Clarence. Any moment, it can happen. So be aware of that. We know CJ McCollum, although I don't think he's better than Bradley Beal or Kyrie Irving, CJ McCollum is a nice second piece on a playoff contender. Not a championship contender now, but a playoff contender. I think CJ McCollum could get you 20 to 25 per game and help the Portland Trailblazers get into the playoffs. And if they get into the playoffs, Clarence, they're going to be playing against those Lakers in the first round. And Charles Barkley already said it on NBA on TNT last week. Go check it out, everybody. Charles Barkley said the Portland Trailblazers will beat the Lakers in the first round. So I'm not ready to say that just yet. But I will say the Portland Trailblazers will take the Los Angeles Lakers 6 games. If they steal 1 game, yes. If they steal 1 game, it's going 7. Because here's the thing. If the Portland Trailblazers would have made the playoffs and we didn't have the NBA shutdown and it'd have been the 8-1 against the Lakers, I think the Lakers would have probably beat the Trailblazers in 4 or 5. But because we had the NBA shutdown, Clarence, and things are going to be all over the place and nothing's going to be predictable, I think it's a chance that Dame Dollar and Melo and Whiteside can surprise some NBA fans and take the Lakers on a tough 6-game series and possibly 7 if they steal a game and Dame Dollar go off for 60. We're going to see what happens, But I'm telling you right now, Clarence, do not disrespect the Trailblazers. Don't act like they're not a legitimate contender. Especially with it's so many things and so many uncertainties, Clarence. This is the year where something very unpredictable will happen. Be aware from them Trailblazers.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I outline that you said something very unpredictable is going to happen. I'm gonna make sure today.
Remember that.
I just don't believe it, man. I just don't believe that they're going to make the playoffs because they've been losing early in their career and early in the season. And Ja Morant, he's talented, man. I just believe that, man. But everybody go follow Wise Guys on Facebook, on Instagram. These guys know sports. Twitter, Wise Guys _8. Hey,
Real quick. Now I want to say this. I listen. I'm not taking nothing away from Ja Morant. Ja Morant has a promising future, and I love his upside and being a key component for the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm not taking nothing from him. But I believe that if you put Portland going up against the Memphis Grizzlies fighting for that 8th spot, I think the Portland Trail Blazers will beat the Memphis Grizzlies out for that 8th spot. I think when you combine Melo with CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, who can drop 60 at any moment, and you got Hassan Whiteside as a defensive rim protector, I think it can make things interesting in the Western Conference, Clarence. Not sure where Clarence went, but I'm going to continue here live on the Wise Guys Sports Show on the Worldwide Sports Network. We were talking about the Portland Trail Blazers and Damian Lillard. I think if when the Lakers get to the playoffs and they got to face Damian Lillard and Melo and CJ McCollum, they are going to be looking like, oh, LeBron going to feel like, man, it's going to be some energy expanded to put these boys out.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
one thing, though, I think about that playoffs. I truly believe if Dame Dollar and them do make the playoffs, it's go affect the Lakers more because they're playing against a young, faster team than them, and it's gonna wear down LeBron. It's gonna wear down LeBron enough to him that he probably he won't even play 100% in the next round or probably in the conference finals. So I think if you play a team like the Portland and the Grizzlies, they're gonna run you guys. They're gonna run them. They're gonna run them.
But I agree with you, but I think LeBron rather play Ja Morant in the Grizzlies than Dame in the Trailblazers because I think he knows Melo got playoff experience, Dame Dollar got playoff experience, Terry Stotts, the head coach for the Portland Trailblazers, he got playoff experience as well. I think LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they rather play Ja Morant in the Memphis Grizzlies than Dame Dollar in the Trailblazers because they know the Portland Trailblazers, they're going to have to beat Dame Dollar. Okay, Dame ain't going to just roll over. He's been in the playoffs before. He's been there before. Ja Morant ain't never been in the playoffs, ain't, sniffed the playoffs at any point in his life because he's a rookie. So I think LeBron's rather play the Memphis Grizzlies than the Portland Trailblazers overall.
Either way it goes, they're going to run LeBron. They're going to try to move fast on him, move at a fast pace because they're younger and they got fresh legs. He in his year 17, and I don't think he's going to have the same type of tempo speed in the playoffs like he had years back, man. That's all I'm saying, man.
We'll see what happens. Everybody remember go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H, also on Facebook, Wise Guys. We're live here on the Worldwide Sports Network. We'll be back on Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll talk about Tyreek Hill. Is he a top 5 receiver? Also, we'll talk about Draymond Green being the best defensive player for the last decade. We'll talk about all that more on Wednesday's show on the Worldwide Sports Network. Clarence, have a good night, bro.
These guys know sports.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.